Hi, it's State Representative Jim Walsh here at the state capitol in Olympia. And I've been getting questions on a couple of issues current right now in the news and people's pocketbooks. So I'll cover three items for this update. First, and really most urgent for most people contacting me, has been prices of gasoline and diesel fuel in Washington. They are up noticeably, and they are linked to a new state tax scheme that goes by the name the Climate Commitment Act, or more generally known as the Cap and Trade program here in the state of Washington. This Cap and Trade program is a wholesale tax on pollution, basically, carbon outputs, to be more specific. Companies, industry groups, and some speculative investors bid at quarterly auctions to buy climate credits, carbon credits, which polluting companies that put carbon into the atmosphere and the environment, can buy and show to the state as a sort of license to pollute. Now, the state makes revenue by selling these licenses to pollute in quarterly auctions of the carbon credits. It is effectively a tax, although not directly a tax on the gas and diesel that you buy at the pump. It's a wholesale tax that takes effect higher up the manufacturing and distribution stream. So the effects have been controversial. The projections on how much cap and trade would cost have been controversial. Some of the current governor's administration, particularly his Department of Ecology, which is responsible for implementing the cap and trade scheme, initially predicted that the cost effect to consumers on a gallon of gas or diesel fuel or some propane or other types of fuel affected by cap and trade would be minimal. They said it would be a few cents a gallon maybe. Clearly that's not the case. There have been two of these quarterly carbon credit auctions so far this year, and both of them have indicated a larger cost effect on the end cost of gas, diesel, and other types of energy. So instead of a few cents a gallon, we've seen an effect of this wholesale tax that's more like 50 or 60 cents a gallon on the cost of diesel and gas in the state of Washington. That's the reason retail prices have risen higher here and now are substantially higher than, say, in Oregon or Idaho or other states that border our state, Washington. It's good for people who live near state lines. They can drive to Oregon or Idaho and buy gas cheaper. Not so good for most of us in Washington who can't do that. So prices are up. There's no real fix to this cap and trade scheme other than getting rid of it, which we would have to do by legislation. Some economists are projecting that in the future, the additional cost, the higher cost pressure of cap and trade will become less. It will smooth out. But that won't make the price of gas or diesel get lower in Washington. It will merely slow the increase. And that's not great for regular working people who've got to put fuel in their vehicles. The other policy points I'll cover quickly, I've been getting some questions about. One is the long-term care insurance program here in Washington, state-run, the Washington CARES Act. This was a state government-run program created by legislation about 3 years ago. Initially, it was supposed to take effect at the beginning of 2022. It was delayed 18 months or so. Now it's taking effect July 1st of this year, 2023. Long-term care insurance or long-term care benefit covers basically nursing home costs and certain in-home medical care, health care services, things like the Visiting Angels programs you may see advertised. This benefit pays for those kinds of services, either institutional care in a nursing home or in-home coverage for people who are older or disabled. There are a lot of controversies around this Washington CARES Act. The lifetime benefit under the program is capped at $36,000, which if you have a family member in a nursing home or in such care, you'll know doesn't last very long. At current rates, that's about 3 months of nursing home care. Also, there are various limitations on how you can receive that $36,000 lifetime benefit. You have to be resident of Washington to collect it. If you retire to Arizona or some other state, you cannot collect the Washington CARES Act benefit. And there are other restrictions on receiving the benefit as well. Funding of this program is a payroll tax. So deduction out of your paycheck, similar to FICA or other types of payroll deductions. At current, deducts about 58 cents per $100 of whatever your paycheck is. But that number is expected to increase as the system is, under current terms, is insolvent. It isn't bringing enough money to cover its overhead and benefit costs. So it's likely the 58 cents will increase. Some estimates have it at 72 cents per $100, others closer to $1 per $100. And that's an expensive deduction to pay for a relatively limited benefit. That program will remain controversial. It does take effect July 1st of this year, so in just a few weeks, you will notice that deduction being taken out of your paycheck. There was some talk of repealing it or substantially reforming it as a bill in the legislative process here. We did not do that in the last session. We may end up doing it in a future session as the cost of the program starts to hit home with people. And lastly, I've gotten some questions about another policy that takes effect July 1st of this year. That is a child welfare program created by House Bill 1227, again, passed several years ago here in Olympia, phased in, and now the final bits of it taking effect July 1st of this year. House Bill 1227 is intended in cases where a child is being removed from the home to encourage family adoption or family care for that child instead of traditional foster care. It was a well-intended bill that meant to keep a child's custody within an extended family rather than moving the child into a foster care home that was not part of the child's family. In the implementation, there have been a lot of questions about it, and certainly some social workers, employees of our state agencies, the Department of Children, Youth and Family, or the Department of Social and Health Services, have complained that they think the policy is going to make removing children from troubled homes more difficult and exposing children more often to either drug use or abuse or other bad treatment in troubled homes. Others say that the program should work as intended and keep instead children from troubled homes with extended family members in a better environment. It will remain to be seen exactly how it's implemented, but I am aware that a number of people from my part of the state, particularly social workers, are concerned about the implementation of this child welfare program under House Bill 1227. I'll keep you posted on how that proceeds as well. Anyway, a lot of policy for a summer day here in Olympia, but these are all issues of importance to people and certainly issues I've been hearing about from my constituents and from people all around the state. We'll continue to keep you updated on these and other policy points as they take effect later this summer and into the fall. But for now, have a good couple of weeks and I'll talk to you again soon.